they are out of control. The Republicans are so insane at this point that they immediately go, oh, you don't want Trump? You must be a gay trans person who is actually secretly a woman. I'm saying it. So we talked about Joe Rogan. I think I should start there first before the presidential debate announcements. So Joe Rogan came out and let it rip, okay? In the most expected way possible. He came out and he let it rip, okay? Where is it? Where the fuck is the goddamn Joe Rogan tweet and the apology? Oh, here it is. Joe Rogan on his latest episode or whatever gave a endorsement to RFK Jr. Okay, let's watch.
That's just what they do. That's politics. They do it on the left. They do it on the right. They gaslight you. They manipulate you. They promote narratives. And the only one who's not doing that is Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
You a fan?
Yeah, I am a fan. Yeah, he's the only one that makes sense to me. He's the only one that he doesn't attack people. He attacks actions and ideas, but he's much more reasonable and intelligent. I mean, the guy was an environmental attorney and cleaned up the East River. I mean, he's a legitimate guy. You know, before anybody started calling him an anti-vaxxer, which I thought he was too. I thought he was this nut, this like conspiracy theorist nut, until I read his book. I read The Real Anthony Fauci.
Bro, you're a conspiracy theorist nut. So of course you read his book and you were like, oh, I agree with this.
And I'm like, what?
I love when people go, oh, dude, I thought he was a conspiracy theorist. The guy is a conspiracy theorist. And then and then I read his book about conspiracy theories and I agreed with them because I'm a conspiracy theorist. And I went, oh my God, everything clicked.
How much of this is real? Because if it's all real, this is insane. And we live in a world where we're being manipulated by these health organizations that are being paid by the pharmaceutical drug interests. And these pharmaceutical drug.
So I talked about this extensively yesterday. It's so funny that these guys are basically describing capitalism, how it works, but then like still attributing it to like some random evil. This is like at the heart of liberalism. That's why liberalism, which is anti-materialist in terms of like analyzing the world, has a real hard time avoiding, you know, Nazi sentiments and fascist sentiments, because like every single conspiracy theory ultimately leads to an outgroup, and that outgroup of like shadowy figures almost always is considered Jewish, right? That's how so many of these conspiracy theories, whether it's like flat earthers that think like NASA is owned by the Jews, or any number of different conspiracy theories that like probably start off as not very dangerous, almost always needs to find a scapegoat. Okay, the scapegoat can take different forms. You can call them globalists, the elite, shadowy cabal. You can call them Jews, but most of it is just terminology designed to talk about a group of shadowy figures in the outgroup that is like both weak and also simultaneously very powerful. And historically speaking, it's always Jewish people, right? He's an anti-vaxxer simp. Oh, hell no, you're a conspiracy theorist too. They are not describing capitalism. You are wrong. That's just copium. Please do not ban this person, mods. I like this one. That's just delusional paranoia. Yes, you're right. He's not describing capitalism. Pharmaceutical corporations, which he will describe in a second, like having people that go into the regulatory agencies and what is known as a revolving door, is actually not just in the pharmaceutical industry, it's in every industry. And that in and of itself is a byproduct of existing under a capitalist organization of the economy and ensuring that the regulatory agencies are still, you know, doing the bidding of these mega corporations. Okay, sometimes the interests of the omega wealthy actually end up aligning with the interests of the cattle, the regular citizenry, the working class. In the case of vaccines, it does. They want you not to. They want you not to die. Okay, because you're valuable as cattle, you're valuable as workers. Okay, so they don't want you to actually die. They don't want you to gum up the works. They don't want you to fuck up the hospital networks. They want you to be able to go back to work 3 days instead of taking 3 weeks off. That's why vaccines are important for everyone. But ultimately, if you care about, you know, mitigating some of the worst consequences of COVID, then yes, you should get vaccinated. So your interests align in that regard. That's precisely why all of these like billionaires and millionaires were getting the vaccine before anybody else. Okay. Having said that, however, these nutters still exist. And then they point to like the very valid skepticism that exists within big pharma and the revolving door between the regulatory agencies. And that pharmacy company want to keep you alive because of that's how they make money. Oh my God. But don't you want to stay alive? Like, this is exactly what I'm trying to explain to you. And no, you're wrong. Globally speaking, or at least even historically speaking, that is not what has driven pharmaceutical innovation. Even to this day, medical innovation is not simply operated on the profit motive. What turns medicine sour, I would say, what actually holds back innovation in the medical field is literally the profit motive. Dumping a shitload of money into R&D, but the R&D is not actually finding new ways of using existing medication for different ailments, but instead finding new ways of extending your patent is actually against innovation. It actually harms innovation in the medical field. But most novel chemical compounds are still found in publicly funded research facilities, not by people who want to, make billions of dollars or whatever, but oftentimes just people working to genuinely advance mankind, people working to, make medicine readily available. That's why some of the most important medical innovation in the form of novel chemical compounds and their application in the medical field have come from people who have literally given their patents out for no money whatsoever. Okay, insulin being a phenomenal example of this. Oh, I don't know why I'm brought out to the forefront. I agree. Yeah, I mean, he is anti-vax though. Yeah, landlords want to sell you houses, you need shelter, or landlords want you to rent the house from them and you need shelter, so you have no choice. That doesn't mean houses are bad as a concept. Thank you. That is a brilliant analogy, chatter. Thank you so much. Okay, I believe that the profit motive should be completely ripped away from medical innovation and the field of pharmaceuticals in general and healthcare in general. Okay, I am a major advocate for free healthcare. I think it's gross. It's disgusting. There is an inelastic demand there regardless. So even from a hyper-capitalist framework, everybody understands. Anyone with basic econ 101, anyone who's ever taken a microecon or macroecon principles class understands that healthcare has inelastic demand and therefore has to be heavily regulated. Okay? That's it. What will be the incentive to innovate? What do you mean, brother? What do you mean? I just explained to you that there is no incentive to innovate in terms of profit right now. Almost all of the novel chemical compounds come from pharmaceutical research happening at publicly funded institutions. You think scientists are only doing science because they want to make money? That's crazy. Anyway, so a lot of this mismatch in this field specifically, the anti-vaxxer shit, is literally born out of that weird juxtaposition of looking at your medical care professionals and thinking of them as people who are trying to farm you, people who are trying to make money off of you. That is where a lot of the skepticism comes from. And I don't think people understand how dangerous that is for the future of mankind. Okay? It should not be profit driven. The people that actually make out like bandits in the pharmaceutical field, in the field of medicine, are not the actual grad researchers, okay? They're barely making ends meet. I fear that you've never actually met someone who is a PhD, who is actually a grad student working on this research. So you just, in your mind, think these are all homosexual Marxists, but then also simultaneously multimillionaires only working on this kind of stuff specifically for the profit motive, when it is the furthest from the truth. Okay, they make maximum $30,000 a year, barely can make ends meet. And the only reason why they're doing it is because they want to advance mankind. Okay, that's it. They have genuine fascination with whatever they're working on. And they want to also make the world a better place. This is a normal incentive that a lot of human beings have. Okay, the people that are actually making the money are executives that don't actually play a role in the research part at all. They are the ones who then land on the patents and then try to work as best as they can to extend those patents. Use all the money that they make and dump it back into marketing. Use all the money that they make and dump it back into research and development, but not necessarily for novel chemical compound discovery, but instead research and development for new mechanisms of delivery. This is a trick that pharmaceutical companies use, big pharma uses, to extend the patents that they have. Okay? Oh, this was a normal drug that you need, but now you can put it up your asshole. So we still maintain another 5-year extension on the patent. So you can't get the generic version. So yeah, there's a lot of issues here. Proof of your point. Doctors without borders, medical professionals who could make lots of money, still go out into dangerous areas and give care for free. Exactly. People always talk about how, profit motives, and including Joe Rogan, who doesn't understand it, by the way. Joe Rogan doesn't understand the problem. He's literally talking about like how the systems are so broken fundamentally, but doesn't understand what the reasoning is. So inevitably, you just go back to this, they are doing this attitude. Who is they? Well, Joe Rogan himself might not think it's Jews. I don't think he is. I don't think he believes that. But plenty of people do attribute the they to Jews. But it's not the anti-Semitism in this circumstance that I'm complaining about. It's the lack of interest in like examining the underlying reasons as to why this structural problem exists. And the structural problem exists because of capitalism, because people have lied for years and years about the profit motive and how that is the only reason why people do shit. Anyway.
Drug companies are pumping these products out into the population and telling us that we need them and then making insane amounts of money. And then also the government is in on it. And also they share a patent with Moderna. And also they share profits. And there's $700 million, however much money was made, whatever the number is that these guys made off of these products. Like this is all of it is crazy. There's the revolving door between the CDC and the FDA and then these pharmaceutical drug companies. So the people that make the regulations then go on to have these cushy jobs with the pharmaceutical drug corporations. Like, oh, nothing to see here. It's like it's open. It's right out in the open.
Right.
And when he talks about all that stuff in his book, you're just like, what the man? If this wasn't true, he would be sued.
No. American freedom of speech, unfortunately, in a circumstance like this, fortunately it exists, but unfortunately in circumstances like this one, make it virtually impossible to genuinely be litigious against someone who writes unhinged shit in a book. Okay? That's it.
So it seems to be true.
Yeah.
And it's a scary thing because people don't want to talk about it because they don't want to be attacked. They don't want to be called an anti-vaxxer. That's a big one.
Right.
Anyway, so he endorsed Robert F. Kennedy Jr. in this video. What I find very funny about this is that he had a bit of a Kyle Rittenhouse moment. He endorsed RFK Jr. and immediately the Republicans were like, "Oh, what the f*** you, cat turd." Cat turd, one of my favorite political commentators in the space, probably the GOAT, the greatest of all time to do it, the greatest white boy to ever do it, came out and was talking about how Joe Rogan is gay. Like literally, immediately. It's like that. They have one defense. They did this. Do we have the, I know he pulled back on the endorsement. Guys, stop spoiling. I know. Do we have the cat turd trifecta talking about Joe Rogan and first defending Joe Rogan? I saw like a triple Monty out there on my Twitter timeline where it was like a compilation of cat turd takes about Joe Rogan, making fun of everyone that makes fun of Joe Rogan, and then turning around and then shitting on Joe Rogan himself. Oh, here it is. Thank you. Cat Third, the left crying about Joe Rogan 24/7 is making him 1,000 times more popular. Dear leftist, ... Joe Rogan can say anything he wants on his podcast, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it but cry. Joe Rogan endorses RFK Jr. So I've never been a Joe Rogan fan. Can't stand him. Yes, he has a popular podcast, but I've always thought he was absolutely politically dumb. He's great at figuring things out 2 years after we do. What a legend. So did it surprise me when he endorsed idiot RFK Jr. today? LOL. No. We are talking about the same idiot who endorsed Bernie Sanders, right? He's the podcast equivalent of a dumb blonde joke. Who has the gayest low IQ dumb male blonde joke political infant podcast in the world? Joe Rogan. Answer A. Answer B. Also Joe Rogan. So that's the beauty of it all. These guys are a cult. Okay? They are an insane cult. And they did this to Kyle Rittenhouse the other day as well. I forgot to even cover it because there was so much other stuff going on. But if anyone has the link for the Kyle Rittenhouse memes, I would love to show you guys that as well. If you remember, Kyle Rittenhouse also came out and had a moment, had a brief moment. It was a blip, basically. Okay, where Kyle Rittenhouse himself came out and was like, "Hey, I don't think I'm going to support Donald Trump." Okay, because Donald Trump is not good at gun laws, right? Donald Trump is not good at gun laws. I have the Joe Rogan Donald Trump thing. Don't worry, I have it. Do we have the actual? Do we have the original Kyle Rittenhouse tweet? The original tweet. Anyway, so Kyle Rittenhouse, for those of you who don't know, is a person who very specifically went to kill people at a BLM protest, as a counter protester, an agitator, got away with it as well. You know, legal to do that sort of thing, and was a beloved figure by the right for quite some time. But here's what happened to him the other week. Kyle Rittenhouse said he wasn't going to vote for Trump due to him being bad on the Second Amendment. The MAGA circus went immediately ballistic, called him a traitor, and created a conspiracy that he's actually a trans woman and a part of the globalist Illuminati. Here's the video.
Hi, I'm Kyle Rittenhouse, Outreach Director for Texas Gun Rights. A lot of people are upset that I said I'm going to be writing in Ron Paul for President of the United States. And that is true. I will be writing in Ron Paul. Unfortunately, Donald Trump had bad advisors making him bad on the Second Amendment, and that is my issue. If you cannot be completely uncompromisable on the Second Amendment, I will not vote for you, and I will write somebody else in. We need champions for the Second Amendment, or our rights will be eaten away and eroded each day. I support my decision, and I have no takebacks.
So that was wrong. He did have a take back. So after like 24 hours of every Republican immediately doing this to him, he did take it back. It's all a psyop, says Isaac's Army. He's a she. Q told us symbolism will be their downfall. Q told us infiltration instead of invasion. They literally started saying he was actually a woman and also gay and also a Freemason and also Illuminati and possibly Jewish. So then he turned around and said, over the past 12 hours, I've had a series of productive conversations with members of the Trump's team, and I'm confident he will be the strong ally gun owners need to defend our Second Amendment rights. My comments made last night were ill-informed and unproductive. I'm 100% behind Donald Trump and encourage every gun owner to join me in helping send him back to the White House. Okay? They are out of control. The Republicans are so insane at this point that they immediately go, oh, you don't want Trump? You must be a gay trans person, a gay trans woman who is actually secretly a woman. Here's another version of events as well. Biological female. This is a female shoulder to hip ratio, female Q angle, no space. Kyle Rittenhouse, female skeletal markers, oval female skull, small ear, slopping jaw. I'm telling you right now, if the number of people who operate like this continues to grow, if the number of people who operate like this continue to grow, it's over. I mean, it's already over. The American project is done, okay? It's done. We have been running on fumes, okay? This is not bait. I'm telling you, back in the day, there only used to be people like this who would be screaming at you on top of a soapbox outside of a subway station. Now those guys are on Twitter, and others like them are also on Twitter going, wait a minute, this guy's right. Okay, we are slowly growing the number of people who are giving themselves schizophrenia. Okay, they did this to Andrew Tate as well. Beloved figures on the right, the moment that they sidestep from whatever like the prevailing right-wing narrative is, the moment that they sidestep, they're like, oh, you're a woman. You're actually a woman. You're a trans woman, and you are gay and also a woman. Yeah, they're now investigating Andrew Tate. I guess she forgot to wear her fake penis. I told everyone about this a while back. It's all of them. If they are on stage, they are a part of the inverter show. He/she blocked me for calling him/her a transformer. Those sloping shoulders, and her sister is even worse with those huge hips. It's so obvious. Cock watching. Bro, I'm telling you, we went from pocket watching to cock watch. Oh, it's so good. And the Republicans lost their minds over Joe Rogan as well. So Trump, alongside the rest of the Republicans, the reason why I did the sidestep away from the Kyle Rittenhouse phenomena is because they got one speed. Immediately, they pounce, right? So Joe Rogan Joe Rogan was forced to basically make a statement, okay? Because they built this audience. It's filled to the brim with dumbass hogs, and they just kind of are audience captured in that regard, okay? They're just audience captured in that regard. They now are too invested in maintaining this grift, or rather, like, they believe some of the statements that they're making, but maybe not all of it. But because their audience is so massively right-wing, because they've pandered so much to the hogs that they can't even say, like, I kind of like RFK Jr. without everybody calling them gay and trans women, okay? They're claiming they're trans men, not trans women. You're right. I'm sorry. It's just so insane. It confused me, okay? You're right. They're calling them trans men and secretly biological women or whatever. You're right. I'm sorry that I fucked up my proper misgendering. Because, bro, they did this with Dylan Mulvaney. Remember Dylan Mulvaney? One can. Dylan was on the Bud Light can. Everybody was like going crazy for months, for like a month actually. They think Dylan Mulvaney was actually a biological woman, assigned female at birth. Then she was transed into being a man. And then she was retransed into being a woman again. Like, you're insane, brother. You have to realize, like, you've lost your mind. You lost your dang mind, bro. Anyway, so Joe Rogan, after Donald Trump pounced on him, as well as everybody else, Cat Turd and all these people were, like, so mad at Joe. Trump joins his supporters in attacking Joe Rogan for saying he's an RFK Jr. fan. It will be interesting to see how loudly Joe Rogan gets booed at the next time he enters the UFC ring, MAGA 2024. They're eating his ass. So he now turned around and posted a tweet. He said, for the record, this isn't an endorsement. This is me saying that I like RFK Jr. as a person, and I really appreciate the way he discusses things with civility and intelligence. I think we could use more of that in this world. I also think Trump raising his fist and saying fight after getting shot is one of the most American things of all time. I'm not the guy to get political information from. If you want that from a comic, go to Comic Dave Smith. He actually knows what he's talking about. I like Omar Badar posting this like Joe Rogan's going to listen to John Oliver about the vaccine shit. I listen to Joe Rogan daily, and this is upsetting. He built a community around the top of the hour ad break. I'm defeated. I feel so goddamn defeated. Yes, at the top of the hour. At the top of the hour, there is a 3-minute ad break. If you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is subscribe, which you can do for $6 or for free with Twitch Prime by connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account. You get 1 free Prime subscription a month. Who's Nithix is gifting 5 tier 1 gifted subs in the community. Thank you. Here's the 3-minute here's the 3-minute ad break now. Hogs were crying about the endorsement. Thanks for clearing this up because I was literally crying about it. You are not normal. You have lost your mind if you're crying about Joe Rogan endorsing RFK Jr. over Donald Trump. Okay? Holy moly. Anyway. But Joe Rogan wasn't the only person. Okay? So they did this with Joe because much like Democrats, they're now vote shaming, which I personally love. Keep up the good work. You only do this if you want to lose. Okay? Apparently, the neo-Nazi Trump invited to dinner alongside Kanye West has revoked their support. White supremacist and far-right political pundit Nick Fuentes shockingly revoked his support from Trump's campaign early Friday, announcing on social media that he and his allies believe that the presidential bid is headed for a catastrophic loss. Okay? Young groypers are posting about how sad they are. But it doesn't end there. Setback for the RFK Jr. campaign. Right-wing YouTuber Tim Pool says he'll vote for him, and RFK thanks him. But now Poole, after facing criticism for Cat Dirt and other prominent MAGA figures for abandoning Trump, says he was just kidding and won't be voting for RFK after all. That was a short-lived, haha, I was just kidding moment from Tim Pool, who, you know, is famous for this kind of haha just kidding moments. He's a kidder. He loves the jokes. He's a big jokester. RFK Jr. says, "I am so grateful to you, Tim, for your confidence in me, but most of all, for your steadfast defense of the Constitution and relentless love for our country." Oof, I really stepped in it this time. Ha ha ha. Holy crap. I'm voting for Trump. What the Wait, I thought Tim was a centrist. I can't believe Hogs thought RFK was siphon votes from Biden. Yeah, that was awesome. Do the Trump cult get proud for bullying them into apologizing, or do they believe they magically had an epiphany? You do this when you are losing, okay? You play bully ball and you bully voters and you vote shame when you're losing, okay? That's it. Yes, I am trolling in response to people attacking Joe Rogan and Kyle Rittenhouse. There's no real argument against voting Trump, but fuck me, some of these diehard MAGAs are destructive as the left is. Anyway, I love this stuff. I hate it when the Democratic Party does this. Think about if you are a liberal, okay? If you're in this chat, and there's a lot of liberals amongst us right now, because there's a lot of people tuning back into the election, excited about Kamala Harris, reinvigorated. Remember how funny it is when Cat Turd starts yelling about Joe Rogan for his endorsement of not Trump, okay? Don't do that. Don't do that, okay? Don't be like the MAGA cultists. This is why we say you look like the MAGA cultists. You look like Blue Anon. You look like Blue MAGA. Rasmussen, Trump up 5 points. I want Trump to win. You will not turn things around by denying reality or insulting moderates. Drop your egos. It's so funny. Dude, no, they're like, are we trusting polls now? I love that. Yes. No, you're right. You shouldn't trust the polls. Trump is doing great. Rasmussen. I'm going to be honest with you. MAGA influencers need to chill out and stop acting like losers. You're not helping anything. In fact, you're actively hurting Trump. Joe Rogan is a celebrity. Suddenly, we're supposed to care about celebrity opinions. The internet is not real life. Sign off and harvest a ballot. I love that they are doing this. It's like, bro, you can't say MAGA influencers chill out and stop acting like losers when you look like this, okay? When you are the quarter pounder. But yeah, they're in a dire situation and they recognize it. And why? Why are they in a dire situation? Because the Democratic Party, for the first time ever, in a sequence of W after W, has actually responded to the pressure because it happened to be a perfect planet-aligned moment where the donors, the voters, and Nancy Pelosi, most importantly, were all in agreement that Biden needs to get swapped out of the ticket. So they responded to that pressure and they did it. Then they followed along with that additional pressure and made another good move. They made Tim Walz the VP, basically locking them down on progressive policies, making bold, declarative, out and about progressive policies your mainstay, your actual platform, okay? All the while, notice how Republicans have no response to that because they are not used to running against a good strategy. Do you understand? Republicans are not used to running against actual good strategy. They don't know how to do it. They've never done it. They don't know what to do. They're flailing. Kind of new to American politics. Does the VP have actual any political leverage? It can. Anyway, the VP is supposed to be like the person who controls Congress, both in the Senate, but also like the person who just basically controls Congress, like is the surrogate for the presidency. These guys are not wrong, but what they fail to comprehend is they fed into the Republicans being psychotic losers and extra weird. Okay. They did that. It's you guys, dumbass. You can't just like swap it out in the last second. You can't just like do incredibly weird, hyper focused on trans panic, hyper focused on like the skull science narratives for years and years and years. And then in the last moment, turn around and be like, oh, we were actually normal. Like we were trying to just cut taxes. Like what? I don't understand. Like you can't do that. You already primed the schizos in your base.
Real quick on all this dumb infighting and melting down. First it was Kyle Rittenhouse. Now it's Joe Rogan. Look, Joe Rogan endorsed Bernie Sanders in 2016 and Trump won easily. Has everybody who is one of these mega influencers completely forgot about 2016 and how every poll had Hillary ahead until the very end? Has everybody forgot how Cory Bush had a million Twitter followers and got beat by a relative nobody with 10,000 Twitter followers? Twitter is not real life. It's getting really cringe seeing so many of these quote unquote mega influencers melt down and react emotionally to what is obviously a Kamala psyop. These images that get out that many people are saying are AI, the fact that she had a concert in a wildly popular band's hometown, and it was a free concert of Bon Iver in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Their home.
He's like, hey man, don't be weird and like over the top right wing, while simultaneously repeating talking points that he saw on Twitter that are weird and over the top right wing. That it's a psyop, that the only reason why there's a lot of momentum behind Kamala Harris is because of Bon Iver. Like, are you insane? Or Bon Iver, however you say it. Like, you are the problem, dumbass. Also, this is really funny. Apparently, again, abject denial of reality. He made a video on me. Someone just sent me the link. Leftoids meltdown over Trump.
Camera.
It's not working, man. Only 100,000 views, big dog. What's happening?
It for a long time. The Nelk Bros gave him a big gift. Here's Hasanabi's.
It is quite literally an FEC campaign contribution violation. Okay? Just so you understand. I am right. He is wrong. Doesn't really matter because nothing really matters for these guys. The truth doesn't matter. The rules or anything like that doesn't matter. But again, you are the weirdo, okay? You are the weirdo. You are the reason why so many in the base is so primed and ready to go with like with these unhinged conspiracies that make everybody look differently at the Republican Party.
Hometown. Everyone's like, oh my God, the Kamala phenomenon is real. Trump needs to fire his campaign manager. Oh my God. Holy crap. I'm getting
like, bro, you can't come back from being a basement pisser, right? You just can't. Like, you're already a weirdo in every sense of the word, right?
Real time.
But like beyond that, you're also pumping out videos daily about like trans panic shit. Like those are the real reasons why the Republicans are seemingly very off-putting.
Fired a lot of these mega influencers that are suddenly now doom pilling because the point of the Kamala psyop is exactly this, and you're falling for it. Okay, I'm not going to call anyone out by name because it's not helpful. But the fact is, all these huge crowds and all these polls that are coming out.
Hold on, I gotta quote retweet this. I don't know, to be honest, the trans stuff does kind of do numbers. Yes, weird but trans online. Okay, that's the whole point. What does numbers online doesn't translate to votes because the motherfuckers that vote are your grandparents, okay? The motherfuckers that vote are your parents. They're business owners. They ain't online like you are. They go outside. They don't know any of this shit. They don't give a fuck about Brie Larson's titties, bro. Oddly specific. Yeah, oddly specific to him. This is what he does. Ultra online right wing grievances, normal voters. Weirdos don't realize they are the problem, and it's far too late to change trajectory after making 8 videos a day about Brie Larson and Dylan Mulvaney. Republicans have deluded themselves into thinking ultra online right wing grievances are shared by normal voters. Like, that's the phenomena that actually works when you're really online, right? That's why, here, I'll give you an example about myself. Many of you, because you use Twitter all the time, think like, oh, Hasan, you are hated by so many people. You are just like genuinely despised by people. People hate you. They want to kill you. And there are a shit ton of people who do hate me, okay? They're just not in the real world. Most people have no clue who I am. I keep trying to explain to you guys this, right? I am not like a household name at all. If you have a opinion on me at all beyond like, oh, I think that's like the progressive guy, right? He's like does shit online. He's like an online progressive guy. If you have an opinion on me that is super strong in either direction, that means you're probably very online. Okay? That's it. Most people know me as like the guy who played Among Us with AOC, not even as the 9/11 guy. Any young people who I mention you to know you as the rich millionaire guy claiming to be socialist? Yes, that is an indication of who you see, okay? That's the whole point. If you think that there are literally like a ton of people who are like, oh, this is a socialist hypocrite guy, you're talking to extremely online people, okay? That's what I'm trying to explain. Most people might know you as at most a D-list celebrity in the real world. Exactly. I tried to explain to you guys this with Valentina Gomez. Okay? This person was running for Secretary of State in Missouri. Okay? And remember when I told you guys, and there were chatters in here when this video came out, chatters in here were like, well, this actually does work in Missouri. And I told you, no, it doesn't work.
These should get their own category, because before, if a man hit a woman, it used to land him in jail. Now, it gets you a gold medal at the Olympics. These are the worst Olympics in history. They have made a mockery out of Christianity and women. And let me remind you, there's no such thing as a chick with a dick. Keep women's sports female.
Yeah, she got a whopping 7th place. 7th place. Because most people in the Republican primaries that vote for the Republicans in the state of Missouri for the Missouri Secretary of State, if they even knew about this shit, they'd be like, ew, that's gross as I don't give a fuck about this. Do you understand? Most people look at that and go, oh, that's gross. Most people online look at that and go, ooh, that's based. Finally, someone's saying it. She got 7th place, dude. You have to remember, even Republicans are like, oh, what the fuck? I don't care about this shit. Shut up. You think most people are going to come up to you and confront a 6'4" built dude? Online people expect other online people to be like them? No, that's not the case. That's not what I'm trying to say. You're misunderstanding. I'm not saying that like, oh, my interactions with people in the real world are overwhelmingly positive, so everyone must like me. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying that most people don't know who the fuck I am. Okay? If you're in here and you're primed and you literally watch me every day, yeah, you develop this attitude that like everyone must know who he is and everyone must feel the same way that I do. They either love him or they just hate him because you see all the negative shit on Twitter. Most people don't know who the fuck I am. Of course not. And at most, if they do know who the fuck I am, and this is not ego, please understand the words that are coming out of my mouth, okay? The words that are coming, listen to what I am saying and develop some kind of comprehension of what I am saying, okay? Most people in the real world do not know who I am. I am not a relevant figure in most people's lives. I might be relevant in your life, and I might be very relevant in the lives of my haters whose brains I live in rent-free, but, you know, most people don't know who the fuck I am, okay? Now, why am I talking about this? You literally talk about this every day. Why am I talking about this? Because I need you to understand that there is a massive difference. There is a massive difference between what plays online and what works in the real world, or what is interesting to people in the real world. There's also a massive difference between what plays online and what actually motivates someone to go out and vote for a party. Hasan, I think you have a little bit of a blind spot as a cis man. There's a lot of transphobia out there. Even if people do find transphobia gross, you're misunderstanding what I'm saying. I have had this argument a lot because you are insecure. What? No. The overwhelming majority of American society is transphobic, okay? Gender, in the way that most people understand it, is biologically determined, and it is just two genders, okay? That is the normative position for Americans, okay? They're wrong, and it will take a very long time to educate people, and, you know, it takes generations, okay? Having said that, however, most people do not constantly obsess over trans people unless they become transphobic to a certain degree. There's tiers to it. Most people are just like, yeah, I don't really understand this gender stuff. It's weird. It's gross. Whatever. Okay, they move on with their lives. But some people go in the opposite direction where they just become pathologically obsessed and they start saying like, this is the most important thing of all time. We have to talk about swim meets in high schools. What if there are trans women participating in the high school swim meet? We have to stop this. We have to put an end to this immediately. Everyone, trans people are all around. They're in every corner, and it just captures their entire brain. It eats away at their consciousness. That level of pathological obsession with trans people is off-putting to normal people who might even agree with them on the trans thing when they're like, yeah, they're weird and gross. I don't really get it. But then they turn around and go, why the f do you care this much? Nobody ultimately gives a single shit about anything that much. Okay? Do you understand? Genuinely asking Hasan, would you agree that Fox News is perpetuating these chronically online takes or no? Yes, they are. Fox News is also dialed in. Okay? Fox News is also dialed in on the extremely online takes. They are. And that is still bad electorally. And I said this in 2022. If you remember, when the midterms happened in 2022, it was supposed to be a red wave, right? Obviously, it's the most expected outcome. When you look at like the historic precedent, when you have an unpopular president, when people are experiencing negative real wage growth, when the cost of living is going up and their actual salaries are not catching up to that, that's insane. That is like an unimaginable L, right? For the president. And the midterms are oftentimes seen as another way to show that like Americans are frustrated with the president. So a red wave was expected. Why didn't it come to fruition? It's because the Republicans dropped the ball and they ran with like insane candidates everywhere. Okay? They ran with like there's kitty litter in schools' classrooms, and they're doing like and these children are becoming cats. They're becoming trans cats. They ran with crime. Think about crime. Crime is all over the place. Crime is crazy. Crime. Okay? They ran with school shooter ass motherfuckers like Blake Masters, thinking that would look well in a place like Arizona. And they put Herschel Walker. Like they put weirdos, bro. They put weirdos who were running weird ass campaigns. And at the time I said, you talking about anti-woke shit in the midterms? Oh,
Twitter guy today. Republicans need to take a long look in the mirror and figure out why we can't connect with fed up Americans. Their previous 8,000 tweets. Look at this scene from Disney's Lightyear. The suit is intentionally designed to make pedophiles cocks hard. Yeah, it's true. I've said this so many times. The more you talk about pedophile shit, the more gross you come across to Normans. Dumb guy with an agenda walks around a normal store is my favorite subgenre of video.
It's normie poison. It is normie poison. In the immediate aftermath of the 2022 midterm election, I've told y'all that like if Republicans keep leaning into this weirdo shit, they are going to be off-putting to normal voters. I was right. And they're doing it again because they don't know anything else, because they're so invested in the culture war narratives that like they're so invested in the culture war narratives and the trans panic and all this shit that they've deluded themselves into thinking other people also think like them. Okay? They think Matt Walsh gets so much play in the normal world.
This is the kind of anti-woke crusade nonsense that made normies uncomfortable. Oh, yeah.
Have all kind of woke stuff. The young adult section, which is this whole thing. It's 4 times bigger. And then there's this weird new category called manga, which is again 4 times bigger than the world history section. Book by Greta Thunberg. Hashtag Greta Thunberg did not write this book. I looked at it. I read some of it. She didn't write it. They didn't have a longer, unabridged version of Tom Sawyer, Huck Finn. I looked for some favorite theologians and philosophers of old and didn't
God, you're so boring and so weird, dude. This can't be real, right?
find most of them. Some of them were there, but none of them.
Hey guys, notice how my hair is very long back then? And I'm still calling him weird. I haven't stopped calling him weird because this is part of the reason why I like Tim Walz, because everybody thinks like he's the one who invented the Republicans are weird narrative. He definitely brought it to the forefront for the Democratic Party. But if there's a motherfucker who's been doing that because it is objectively the truth, it's me. I've been doing it for years. That's what Hogwatch is. Hogwaltz.
Guy who's angry that capitalist corporation is selling more popular books than less popular books is weird. That's weird.
The others, and so this is my fear. Social sciences sections. Yeah.
Dude, divorce court really, truly, and I mean this with my whole chest, wholeheartedly, has destroyed this country. Divorce court has absolutely destroyed men. We gotta fix it. Hey, by the way, he likes Huck Finn because it uses the N-word profusely. That's why he said the unabridged version. That's why what he's talking about. He's like, why don't they have Huckleberry Finn with the N-word in it? Aw, that's wonderful. As I was getting off the plane last night, a stewardess asked what I was so excited about. I told her I'd won my election. It was the first trans woman elected in Montana. She immediately teared up. My son is trans, she said, and began to tell me about all the joys and fears. Aw, that had come with this transition, how much happier and healthier he is now. I got to see pictures of her and her son in Paris, the two of them beaming with joy. She also talked about how scary the world was, but how this moment gave her hope. I'm telling you, dude, the more normalized trans existence becomes, the more suburban moms and dads, you're going to see more of those, like the golden retriever family that you saw on Fox News. Remember that like perfectly white family with a white picket fence in California with their trans, I think they had a trans son, right? You're going to see more of that. It's the same with gay shit. Obergefell brought about a normalization, like just being gay in public. Once that cat's out of the bag, you're going to have suburban moms finally be F-word pilled, okay? They're gonna have gay friends. And women, especially white women, love having gay best friends, okay? That's huge. All of a sudden, you've locked down a major political coalition. That's huge. Then you're gonna have those people have children that are gay. Boom. It's done. The cat's out of the bag. You can't go back. You can't just like try to push people back into the dark corners when their children are coming out as gay. That's kind of what Asita was talking about when he said, like, you know, a lot of the anger that people feel, a lot of the anger and resentment that like Republicans try to captivate, a lot of the anger that they try to like focus on, right, is about the next generation, because the next generation is way more open about being gay. The next generation is open about being trans. When you're hyper focusing on that, you're forgetting the reality that like there are a lot of children who are that. You know what I mean? And these people's parents are gonna have a genuinely different perspective. Your biggest Achilles heel is that you can make a great and salient point, but then say some shit like F-word pilled. Yeah. No, I think that is my biggest. That is actually what differentiates me from other people. Not necessarily that like I'm also despite being online for 10 hours every goddamn day, I think I have a better understanding of like what normal people feel than most of these political operatives who lean into their absolute worst instincts. I also am silly and say dumb shit. Perspective on them, not boring. Matter. It'll happen. Let's take a look at Republicans flopping last night because these women went crazy.
You have the best example. Michigan, unbelievable. State House flips, state Senate flips. 6 months ago, you would have written Whitmer off.
Dude, this guy knows women. I want to hear more analysis from this thing. I want to hear what this thing has to say about these women, okay?
Dobbs, she wins handily. In 5 states had abortion referendums, including my home state of Montana. All of them passed. I mean, this abortion is becoming the issue that's driving turnout. Last night, exit polls, you guys talked about it earlier, Democrats win independents in a non-presidential year. Just no poll saw that coming.
One of my best locks on this is the idea that like Republicans have basically deluded themselves into thinking that their opinions are popular. Republicans of the old guard knew that their opinions were not popular. They would desperately try to commercialize these points by basically hiding the underlying resentment towards like black people, for example. The famous Lee Atwater clip comes to mind, which is you can't say the N-word any longer, so you say other things, right? That's why you have the dog whistle. But Republicans, by way of state legislatures, advance this like super crazy anti-trans agenda all across the country. Ain't nobody was asking for it. Who the in even Ohio was like, we really have to have penis inspection day? Nobody. Okay? They just did that because they thought, no, this is really good. We're giving our base what they want. They want this. They want this more than anything else. They forgot, and this is a major flub with Ron DeSantis and why he lost handily in the primaries. They put the cart before the horse. Culture war issues are supposed to be a distraction. They're not supposed to be just simply the forefront of all of your legislative agenda, dumbass. The real goal in this circumstance is to simply distract people with culture war issues to differentiate yourself from the Democratic Party while offering tax cuts and deregulation to the corporations. Okay? If you run simply on culture war shit and you literally hammer that point in over and over again, you're going to lose. And that's precisely what is happening to the Republican Party. Here's the funniest part about it. If Democrats do that, they lose too. Could you imagine? The equivalent of this is the Hillary Clinton campaign in 2016, okay? Running on you're transphobic if you don't vote for us is the most idiotic thing that you could ever do, okay? I'm not saying that that's the only thing that the Hillary Clinton campaign did, but they certainly placed an outsized emphasis on that shit. Don't do that. Don't ever do that. You think trans people are like aliens that are separate from the rest of society? No, trans people are workers too. Run on shit that helps every American and then explain to them why paid family leave is good, okay? Why destroying child poverty is a good thing, why feeding children is a good thing, by making it easier for workers of this country to have like free time for themselves is a good thing. And then if they complain about that shit, the material improvements that will come for them, then, fuck them. Pretty transphobic take. I know I am literally a transphobe, okay? I am the number one enemy of all things LGBTQ for saying something like trans people are also nurses, doctors, teachers, okay? They have the same interests. They don't like live in a separate place. They don't live in like a hive. They live in homes. They rent, okay? They are also responsive to economic pressures. Holy Look, 75,000 high school kids participating in high school sports in Utah. 4 transgender kids playing high school sports in Utah. 1 transgender student playing girl sports. 86% of trans youth supporting suicidality. 56% of trans youth have attempted suicide. And they're running, and they're like, it was so bad that the Utah governor, I remember, vetoed a bill and literally said, yo, I can't in good conscience vote for a bill that is literally designed to bully 1 trans girl in this state, okay? When you are that locked in, when you are that dialed, when you are that insane, okay? When you're that insane, that is off-putting to other people. Now, there's also another side to this, okay? Yeah, the legislature still went hog wild and overrode the veto, but you have to understand something. None of that means that this is like a genuine policy that people were desperately people were like, oh, thank God, a breath of fresh air. We made sure that 1 trans girl is no longer participating in high school athletics. And I feel so confident that the Republican Party is carrying my interests across the finish line. That's not a thing that people care. You only think that if you're so primed and so deluded in your echo chambers that you think everyone is that lasered in on like trans people. Okay? Off-putting. Remind us why you lost viewers with the Israel coverage. You think that is this is an adequate equivalent? Yes, dude. People don't want to tune in to me talk about how America is participating in a genocide every day. That doesn't change the reality that it is still patently unjust and inhumane. Yeah, I'm not a politician, you idiot. I'm a political commentator. The f do you mean? And I'm not saying make Palestine the forefront of your conversation when I'm doing electoral calculations anyway. So what the argument is this? I'm simply stating time and time again, regardless of my own morality on the matter, Democrats have an easy dub in dealing with Gaza. Okay, they have an easy dub. They have an electoral dub there. They will lose no voters and they will only gain voters. That's something you do for good politics. Anyway. So you're not wrong, chatter. They're obsessed, man. You're underestimating how Fox is breaking the brains of all Republicans of this nation. Yes. Okay? Yes. You are right about that. And that is the one thing that I mentioned in this video as well, where I said there's only one thing that would make this so much worse. If Fox News succeeds in making everyone as primed and as angry and as locked in on trans people, and they actually flip the normal voters into being just as like transphobic as the average Twitter user, then this country is And then they will be able to actually successfully launch these strategies. But I do not believe that Fox News has been able to successfully implement it. Okay? No, that's it. It's not working. If anything, it makes people go, I don't really care about this. I don't know. A lot of my normal friends got trans on the mind all the time, bro. I know. It's not just Fox News. Okay? It's also the Shade Room, No Jumper, all of these like other, even like, you know, random meme accounts. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook is everywhere, okay? But the moment that they are that lasered in on trans people, Barstool, the moment that they're that lasered in, that dialed in on the trans people, look at what happened with the Imam Khalif situation. I don't see it getting there. Even here in hyper-conservative Idaho, I don't hear that rhetoric as often anymore, and people are straying to a more centrist opinion more and more on those topics. Yep, most people don't want to think about it, okay? Most people don't want to think about it. The End Wokeness account on Twitter can pump out as much transphobic sentiment as they want to, but ultimately, at its peak usage, Twitter was 20% of the American population was using Twitter, okay? 20% of the American population was using Twitter. At its peak usage, it's much lower than that now. It's gotten significantly worse. End Wokeness can get 200,000 likes on Twitter. That does not reflect the real world at all. And that certainly does not reflect the attitudes of normal voters if you are thinking about this from the perspective of the electoral victories, okay?
And it was because these women just went crazy.
Oh man, that's good. Yeah, these women be crazy, man. Women be voting. They be shopping and they be voting, you know? I really don't care how Messina meant for this to sound. Men need to think about how they speak about women. Historic activism and voter turnout is not crazy. We don't want to die. Extremely appreciated. Thank you for being an ally in this fight. Last night was a definite win, but we got ways to go. You're totally right. I apologize for being inarticulate during the TV interview. What I was trying to convey is that the energy of women voters and their political power is what saved the night for the Democrats across the country. That's Jim Messina, Obama's, he ran Obama's campaign in 2012, or he was on Obama's administration from the Obama-Biden 2012 campaign manager. Let's see what they were doing on election night, though.
So yeah, this is not an exciting evening. You know, kind of like many of my dates before I met my wife.
Oh my God, Dad! Yes! He did not say that! Stop! We gotta run that. I don't mean it as being a dick, but I know you hang with some normies, but I promise you, the Ohio blue collar crowd, their brains are completely broken by MAGA shit. First of all, that's Ohio. Secondly, that's the reason why you have to run a normal campaign, as the Democrats are doing kind of right now, okay? If you don't counter message against all of the brain broken right-wing panic, you let the entire territory be dominated on those key issues by right-wing panic. You have to give people things that they care about, okay? So they can be invested in your campaign. They can be invested into voting for you, okay? That's it. Democrats don't do that and haven't really done that. They haven't done that in a while. Is this a mid-series clip show? No, I'm just showing you that my interpretation and my analysis has not changed since the midterms, and actually exactly what I predicted is happening right now. Do you not understand? This is not a filler. This is just me simply telling you that if you behave like a weirdo over and over again, and then you think that your weirdo opinions are reflected by broader society, if you run up against someone who goes, nah, that shit is weird, we just want to feed children, all of a sudden you're cooked. If you run against someone who, on the other hand, goes, oh, all this weirdo stuff is scaring me, and maybe I'm a weirdo too, and they lean into it, they tack right, the Democrats tacking right on issues that are born out of right-wing hysteria will actually be a loser for the Democrats, okay? There is no rebuttal if you ignore it. No, you shouldn't ignore it. You should talk about how weird it is and what your actual campaigning, what you're campaigning on. People have forgotten that, like, people just don't even think about this, especially even in this community, right? Like a supposedly leftist community. Politicians are supposed to earn your votes, man. They are supposed to earn your votes, okay? Offer them things. And those things should be as broad encompassing as possible. Policies that are actually helpful, that actually reflect the anxieties that Americans feel. Republicans do a very good job of recognizing that there are anxieties
and then funneling all of that anger and frustration back to their opponents, back to marginalized people, back to people that have been historically dominated by American politics, okay? Weaker people in general, people that do not have the capacity to fight back. They need to win the suburban white woman. The transvestigating of Katie Ledecky really upset my moderate mom. Yes. Yeah, I mean, this was the original bathroom bill that literally was scrapped in North Carolina. This was the reason why Trump was also pro-trans when he was literally running for the presidency in 2016. People forget this. Donald Trump literally was pro-trans. Do you remember that? Donald Trump was pro-trans when he was running for president in 2016. Things changed dramatically since 2016 to 2024. Okay? Why was he pro-trans? Because he recognized that most people didn't give a shit. He held up a pride flag at a rally.
The damage and devastation that can be inflicted by Islamic radicals.
Yeah, he used the LGBT against Muslims because he had smoke for the Muslims at the time. So he was like, I'm actually so pro-trans, so LGBTQ, I'm going to save them from the Islamic terrorists. He said Caitlyn Jenner can piss in whatever toilet she wants to as long as she's pissing in a Trump Tower.
The damage and devastation that can be inflicted by Islamic radicals has been proven over and over. At the World Trade Center, at an office party in San Bernardino, at the Boston Marathon, at a military recruiting center in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and many, many other locations. Only weeks ago in Orlando, Florida, 49 wonderful Americans were savagely murdered by an Islamic terrorist. This time, the terrorist targeted LGBTQ community. No good, and we're going to stop it. As your president, I will do everything in my power to protect our LGBTQ citizens from the violence and oppression of a hateful foreign ideology. Believe me. And I have to say, as a Republican, it is so nice to hear you.
What? Wait, guys, I don't think you understand. Donald Trump in 2016 was running as a moderate on many issues, with the exception of immigration. Like, people literally, we have completely forgotten what happened in 2016. Like, it got retconned. And in many respects, I totally understand why people don't remember it, because immediately after becoming president, he didn't do any moderate things. He was obviously insane. This is great to like remind people routinely, because like things change, okay? He is a permanent room reader. This is such a funny thing because Ron DeSantis, when he was running against Donald Trump, showed all of this in a video, and I called him out too, said he was going to lose big time, not because he was also like a genuinely unlikable figure, but also because he's an idiot. Like, most people don't give a shit like that. Here's another one.
Jenner were to walk into Trump Tower and want to use the bathroom, you would be fine with her using any bathroom she chooses.
That is correct.
Appearing at a live town hall meeting on the Today Show, Trump also said he admires Harriet Tubman, but doesn't think Andrew Jackson should be removed from the $20 bill.
Andrew Jackson had a great...
asked this question.
What's the one habit you wish he'd give up? Retweeting.
She's referring to this infamous retweet that caused a political firestorm of Melania and Ted Cruz's wife, Heidi. It was dueling town hall meetings as just blocks away, Hillary Clinton was at Good Morning America's studio.
What did he say about North Carolina's bathroom bill? He literally said, drop it. Drop it. Y'all are stupid as fuck for caring about this. Here. Politico, grand old primary. April 21st, 2016. Trump, transgender people can use whatever bathroom they want. Oh, I had a feeling that question was going to come up, I will tell you. North Carolina did something that was very strong, and they're paying a big price. There's a lot of problems, the Republican presidential candidate said during a town hall event on NBC's Today, referring to comments from an unnamed commentator who on Wednesday said North Carolina should leave it the way it is right now. Trump said he agreed. Leave it the way it is, North Carolina. What they're going through with all the businesses that's leaving, all the strife, and this is on both sides, leave it the way it is, he said, referring to the companies that have canceled plans to move or expand business in the state as a result of the law, which bans transgender individuals from using a bathroom that does not match their gender at birth. There have been very few complaints the way it is. People go, they use the bathroom that they feel is appropriate, Trump said. There has been so little trouble. And the problem with what happened in North Carolina is the strife and the economic punishment that they're taking. Matt Lauer then asked Trump, does he have any transgender people working at his company? Really, I don't know. I probably do. I really don't know, Trump said, answering that he would allow, say, a transgender celebrity like Caitlyn Jenner to use whatever bathroom she wanted at Trump Tower. No disrespect, but what point are you trying to make here? Donald Trump in 2016, when he won, was a significantly more moderate figure on this issue. Dare I say progressive or woke in comparison to Donald Trump in 2024. The only difference between then and now is that Republicans went back to the drawing board after they got a massive L on the bathroom bills. So they were like, how can we tie anti-trans panics? How can we tie anti-trans panic to a way that is sticky for the average American? And the answer is meritocracy. Americans love meritocracy. They love merit. What is the only place where there is merit? What is the closest to a real meritocracy? Sports. So they this is literally I know for a fact that this is what happened. There was investigative reporting on this. All of those psychopathic right-wing Christian think tanks went back to the drawing board and focus tested different kinds of narratives. They noticed that the trans bathroom bills were really stupid. Most people were like, I don't give a shit, shut the fuck up. But they found one that hit big. Sports. Trans women are cheating in sports. Trans people are cheating in sports. That polled significantly better than all other anti-trans narratives. Okay? So they kept hammering that position over and over again. But it wasn't necessarily because Americans give a fuck about trans people participating in sports or American people hate trans people like that. It was because they thought that trans people are weird and maybe gross, but also cheating. They're being weird, gross, and cheating in sports. They're stealing scholarships from normal cis people. That could be your daughter. They're cheating. They're breaking the meritocracy. They were able to figure out a successful narrative that stuck, but it still doesn't mean that it was because everyone is that primed into wanting to kill trans people. Okay? I do not think that they want to slaughter your children. Okay? They want to transify your children is as sticky a narrative as the sports one. It doesn't poll as well, especially because it's too gross to think about. Okay? It is entirely too gross to think about that. And it's also so utterly devoid of the truth. If you are misogynistic, or, there's obviously evidence for this as well. In most sports, especially combat sports and whatnot, obviously, men on average are probably going to outperform women on average. Okay? Cis women versus cis men. So people, if they, if they genuinely think that due to transphobia and due to how gender ties back to our understanding of the world, and it's like, you know, it has like really solid, really firm social conditioning on that front. If people have that opinion, and many people do, they look at it as like, oh, these are men cheating. Okay, they're men cheating and ruining the meritocracy. That's just the way they operate. That's just the way they see it. That's why it's such a like a salient narrative that people can attach to. It's effective messaging, right? It's very effective messaging on that front, and it's demonstrably effective. Polls show that it's effective, right? I mean, this is like an issue that the overwhelming majority of Americans will not agree with you on. Okay, so that is just the unfortunate underlying reality. But people don't think about, you know, children being mutilated by medical professionals in the same vein. That's too insane for the average person. The average person's experience with their doctors is overwhelmingly positive. People like their doctors. They don't really like their health care. Okay? People like their primary care physicians if they have it. People like their pediatricians. People trust their doctors. So you cannot make Americans legitimately believe, that their doctors are going to be making medical decisions to chop their children's penises off or whatever the only the most insane people believe that. Okay? Do you get it? Do you understand? And that's why whenever they go off on a tangent, whenever Republicans go off on a tangent about like trans children, they're trying to make everybody trans or whatever, that feeds into the base, the Nick Merckx types who are like completely brain broken by this shit, unfortunately, because they watch too many Matt Walsh videos. But that is far from the attitude or the opinion that the average American has. Okay? The number of truly insane people is growing every day. I am not underestimating the amount of truly insane people. The number of people that are genuinely losing their minds on this issue is growing every day. But as it stands still, okay, Fox News has not been able to, in my opinion, penetrate the collective consciousness of Americans into being primed to be that transphobic. You feel me? You smell me? You get it? It's upsetting to me that you can get people stirred up about, when explained from a white supremacist framing, the concept of merit in this case bases an assumed privilege. Yes, obviously there is none. It is ridiculous, but I'm just simply talking about what people suspect. They automatically assume if you're like, that's why I always deflate that and joke about it and say like, these people are delusional. They're obsessed with trans people. They should be obsessed with the top of the hour ad break. Okay. Because it's coming for you. Like there's no secret shadowy trans people cabal that are like magical athletes and they're just like so good at everything no matter what. But there is a 3-minute ad break at the top of the hour and many people just refuse to recognize it. And then bam, before you realize it, it hits you in the face. There's a 3-minute ad break coming to you unless you subscribe for $5 or for free. How do we get into this conversation? We got into this conversation because the quarter pounder, Tim Pool, Matt Walsh, Ben Shapiro, they have all dove headfirst into this narrative and fed into these kinds of panics. Okay, here's a 3-minute ad break now. By the way, J. Nicole Q, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. So it's far too late for these guys to change direction.
Calling anyone out by name because, you know, it's not helpful. But the fact is, all these huge crowds and all these polls that are coming out, they have one goal, and that's to make you panic and make you demoralized and make you give up. And you guys are falling for it. It's so obvious. How can you not see this? Stop tweeting about how, oh my God, the polls, oh, Trump's got to make a major change. No, he doesn't. Kamala's going to get on that debate stage. Kamala's going to have to answer questions eventually. Kamala's going to have to do the town hall. And everyone's going to remember how unlikable and how much of a crotch she is, okay? So stop being babies and get out there and harvest a ballot. That's how you win. That's how winning is done. While you guys are all crying on Twitter about, oh my God, a 21-year-old Kyle Rittenhouse didn't endorse Trump, all you're doing is pushing away potential Trump voters. Your followings are exclusively Trump voters. You aren't making a change. You're just turning people off. Chill. Stop.
He's not wrong about that. Vote shaming turns people off.
Falling for the psyop, the obvious psyop.
Yeah, but it's not a psyop, dumbass. You participated in the psyop. If you think it's a psyop, If you think the Democrats were playing 5D chess to make you guys so hyper-focused on the weirdo narratives that you think, the weirdo narratives that you personally think are like really, really important top of mind issues, and you're wrong. Anyway, I do love that though. I do personally love that these guys are going nutty mode. Big if true, I can't wait to be a stallion like Dad. Bro, we are in Tim Walz' stomach. Gross. Gross. They don't understand. The JD Vance couch fucker thing works because JD has no riz. Okay? He has no aura. And the thing is like not that crazy. It was a unique meme born out of an account with like 1,200 followers at the time. Okay? JD Vance is off-putting. And it wasn't like an incredibly gross thing. You don't have to also directly point to like someone physically sucking off a horse, you gross loser. You cannot try to recreate what was an organic shit post. Most people are going to look at you and be like, dude, that's weird as f-. Most people don't even know about the couch shit. Like maybe they heard it and they laughed. Okay, that's it. Can you address Asmongold endorsing Trump? I had a dream about it last night and I want to hear your thoughts on it. That is the most insane thing you've ever asked. Like, that is one of the truly uniquely insane things that a chatter has asked me. Like, we've now officially reached like new levels of drama farming where now I have to like deal with something that you imagined so that someone can clip it out of context. Like me addressing something that you imagined that we will clip out of context. Why are you dreaming about Asmongold, bro? Be normal. Okay? Tune the fuck out. Tune out of the internet if that's like if you're dreaming about Asmongold, bro. I'm sorry. I can't be more serious about this. Yeah, if they had made a graphical description of how JD Vance fucked the couch, it would not have landed. It would just be weird. I don't even know what the original meme looked like. Anyway. But yeah, before we get to the Kamala Harris wall situation, there was another thing that I wanted to... What is this? The MAGA movement in its most radically honest form.
I'm being in a video.
You're filming, so I guess so.
What are your thoughts on Donald Trump?
I think that he's a criminal and probably shouldn't be running for president.
I think you're a bitch. Would you mind?
Own, bro. He owned her. I hate women. This is normal. We should run a campaign on this. Libtard destroyed. Anyway, let's hear what... Yeah, why won't women talk to me?